You're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day, or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. I'm your host, Graeme Forsyth. This edition of Coffee with Graeme, as it's been for a while, is brought to you by AETi, Caisse Financial Group, Evolve Green, Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, and TOVI Hockey. This is the finale, the final ever edition of Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. It's been a heck of a ride since doing this show, from interviewing my first guest up until now. Had a chance to talk to many great people on Coffee with Graeme throughout the time that I've been the host of it, and I'm thankful for every single minute of it. It's an end of an era, and I'm excited, and it also brings almost tears to my eyes knowing that this is an end of an era. But hey, we're gonna make it a good one tonight. Starting off Coffee with Graeme tonight for an interview is going to be Ferdi Nelissen, just talking about the aftermath, what's been going on in the MFHL since the West Regional has concluded. We're going to talk about league awards that have been handed out, scholarships, commitments on that front, talking about which players have had splashes in university this season that have come from the MFHL, as well as players that might be able to have an impact in their first year of college next season in the fall of 2022. So without further ado, let's roll the intro of Coffee with Graeme here on ASTV Productions. Joining me first off is Ferdi Nelissen here on the show. Enjoy, everybody. And there he is, Ferdi Nelissen, joining this edition of Coffee with Graeme. Ferdi, it's great to have you on the show. Unfortunate news that I found out you're a Leafs fan before we went live. It's been an exciting series of hockey for sure, and I know that talking to you, you've been enjoying the NHL playoffs. How have you been, though, since the last time that we've talked?
I'm good, thanks. I actually got a couple of rounds of golf in this week here in Portage. The course is open, and it's in pretty good shape, actually. So that's like last year I already had 15 rounds in. So a little itching to go there, but no, all's good. Thanks for having me on, especially considering this is your last episode. Feel quite honored.
Yeah, had to get you on one last time, Ferdi. Always had a blast talking to you about, just giving our predictions, talking about the MFHL in general, and thought it'd be a great way to end off, having you as one of the final guests on the show. But let's dive into it. Scholarships. You mentioned it to me earlier today on the phone, something that the league has been working on. Tell the folks about what these scholarships are about.
Well, actually, the one scholarship is called Teammate Scholarship, and it was a former teammate of mine, AETi, that came to me a couple of years ago and wanted to do something with me. He was watching the time I put into female hockey, and he said, "Let's do something together here. Let's make a difference for these young female athletes." And so the first year we gave out one scholarship of $1,000. And then this year we had 9 applicants within the league, and I reviewed them, and then I gave them to Al to review, and he called me up. He said, "I can't do it." I said, "Can't do what?" He said, I can't pick." He said, "I think we should be helping all 9 of these girls out."
Right.
So we sort of expanded our horizons there. It was Rachel Gottfried that got our first award, that went on to the U of M, and she had an outstanding first year, I think, with the Bisons. She was playing lots of minutes as a rookie on the defense, which is hard at U Sport level, and a great student. And this year we've decided, like I said, to give out 9. There were 2 Avros, 3 from Pembina Valley, 2 from the Chiefs and 2 from Interlake that applied, and we're going to give them all $500 scholarships.
Right on. That's amazing.
And you know what? When we looked at it, the references these young ladies had from their coaches, from their principals, from their teachers, the extracurricular stuff they were doing outside of hockey and giving back and forming different, working with charities and working with youth and stuff. They're just all, and the fact that they could all keep such high marks at the same time. Just a great group of young ladies. I'll just name them off if you don't mind.
Yeah, do it.
Courtney Bays and Nora Collins from the Avros. Quinn McLaren, Abby Bordeaux, and Anna Cabron from the Pembina Valley Hawks. From the Chiefs, Callie McGuire and Josie Nichols. And from Interlake, Brooke Wedge and Emerson McCauley. Some of these we haven't actually handed out in person yet. We gave out the Avros and the Hawks at their awards evenings, but the Chiefs and the Interlake programs had already had their awards. So AETi and I are finding a way to get together with those young ladies and make the presentations. So very exciting that Al stepped up and came to me with this opportunity. Now, the league is also going to give out 2 other scholarships, which we do annually. Those just haven't been announced yet. I have a pretty good idea who the 3 or 4 front runners are, but I'm not going to say anything here tonight because that's the league's, that's their bang.
Some suspension, some suspense on the last edition of Coffee with Graeme.
That should be coming out shortly because our AGM has been pushed back by a couple of weeks. Unfortunately, I don't know if people out there know, and I'm gonna do a little. If you don't mind, unfortunately. Just recently, we lost Brian Franklin, Hockey Manitoba, a former president of Hockey Manitoba from Deloraine, Manitoba. Just an outstanding individual. I've gotten to know Brian very well over the last 15 years and consider him a friend. And unfortunately, we lost him to cancer. And this is an individual that just led by example. I said in a couple of posts I made that Brian didn't even know he was mentoring you. You just had to watch Brian, how he carried himself and how he handled himself and how he thought about the big picture and what was best for hockey for everybody to understand what you should be doing in the game. He was a great example for us all and a tremendous loss. And my condolences again go out to the entire Franklin family.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Never met him, never even heard of him. But from what I've heard from the posts that I've seen made by you and just everyone that's been posting about it, seems like he was a great person. And
yeah, absolutely, Graeme.
The hockey community has lost a tremendous person. And it's sad to see that happen. Let's get into some lighter conversation here about just going back to the scholarships. Of course, so many smart individuals in the leagues, so many individuals that help out in the community. And for the scholarships, I mean, just pushing, emphasizing that, and it should be emphasized at the next level, of course, for university, that school comes first, no matter what you're there for, even though if you are playing hockey there. How huge is it that the MFHL, like you've been saying, has expanded on these scholarships to offer more opportunities for girls to be rewarded for not only their play on ice, but also off the ice as well.
Well, you're absolutely right, Graeme. At the end of the day, these young ladies are student athletes. Number one, you're a student. When you're picking a school, you should be picking the school for the academics that fit your future. They obviously all love hockey. They're obviously all talented at it. And if that can take you a little further in your hockey and maybe, depending on what level you're playing at, maybe get an opportunity to be looked at by, the national team program or whatever, that's great. But at the end of 4 years, you're going to want the education that can carry you through the rest of your life and move on in a positive direction. And I think these young ladies make those decisions. They're all going to a lot of different schools, and some of them not necessarily are even playing hockey right at the moment. They may be playing in the junior league or whatever. I mean, most of them out of the 9, I know that there's 7 commitments, with Bays going to York and Collins going to Manitoba. You got Quinn McLaren going Division I Lindenwood. Abby Bordeaux is going to a great program in Alberta, and Annika Braun to the new program in Jamestown. McGuire's going to Midland, which is an ACHA school as well. And Josie Nichols picked something that we haven't, we talk about, but we don't see as much. And she's going to Nate, which is in the Alberta College League. And those are great schools. They're great academic schools.
Yeah, for sure. I just had to get a Kleenex for my nose a bit itchy, so I had to have you on the solo layout there, Ferdi. But yeah, it's great to hear about the scholarships and just how it's beneficial for the girls that are receiving it this season. Talking about league awards, of course, we've spoken about them already. Who won them? Have you guys had a chance to present them to the players? I think I saw a picture with the MVP.
I was because I was at the Avros wind up and the Hawks wind up. I did get a chance to present to those players from those teams that made won individual awards or all-star awards, and hopefully down the road here we'll be able to do some more presentations for the players that haven't received their accolades in person yet. The league does get plaques made up for all the all-star players and the league individual awards. So sometimes it gets a little bit hard to get them out to those players. I think we're going to come up with a different plan next year. Hopefully that we have them all picked before the end of the regular season, and then we can make these presentations at the first playoff game in their rinks. That way their fans also get to see them get those recognitions that have been doled out upon on their players from the league. It's not always the easiest thing to get everybody together. We don't do a league banquet because it's just people are coming from all over the province, and it's a little tough. And all these teams, I know when I was the coach of the Caps, we had our own awards night with the U18 programs, male and female, where we doled out all our hardware. It is a little, we haven't got it all out, but we will be getting it to these players.
Right on. And that should be awesome to see when the players do get their awards in person, as well as what is up next year for how these awards will be and might be presented to these players, which would be awesome to see that. Yeah. Talking about commitments, of course, since the last time that we've talked, there hasn't been any new commitments I've seen that's been announced on the website. But can you give us, obviously, you don't have to give specific names because that could just still be announced. But is there conversation? Have you seen anything in terms of commitments that could be coming up soon throughout the league?
Well, I don't know if there's commitments coming up soon, but I did have some contact with some university programs that called me over the last 2 weeks talking about players, especially the first and second year players that are of interest to them. So I don't know if we'll have any announcements right away, but there is definitely interest in players within the league that are, and in Manitoba in general, by some. I did get called from 2 or 3 Division I schools about a few players. I got called by a few U Sports schools about a few players, and I'm not gonna give out those names because they haven't really made those commitments yet. But I think when you look at the league, there's a lot of strong players. Obviously, you've followed it so closely yourself, Graeme, that when you look at the rookies in our league and the first year players and the second year players that are going to be returning, there's a depth of talent there that obviously schools are going to be interested in, and they've been making contact about that because most of them don't want to get beat to the punch.
Yeah, no doubt. And you know what? I'm not sure if it's always been like this, but when I first started covering the league, I noticed that players like Courtney Bays, Louise Ferguson, there were players who made commitments a year early, and that just speaks to how talented these players are and how these universities want to, or colleges want to, lock these players up early.
Yeah, for sure. You will actually see quite a few commitments with players that have at least a year to go. Not very often you see the grade 10, the first year players make commitments right away. They're probably weighing their options. And it's also, you know what, these are still young people. Some of them probably haven't even made up their minds what they really want to take in school. This is a decision that's going to affect the rest of your life. So I suggest to people out there, you don't rush into it. You do your due diligence and make sure that you know where you want to go, and the education is what you want, and you end up in a good environment for yourself academically. But and yet there's some that are very focused on what they want to do. So it depends on the player, it depends on the situation. But a lot of times you will see them for sure. You mentioned too in Bays and McLaren, they did commit in grade 11. And that happens more times than you think.
Yeah, for sure. We'll move on. There is something I wanted to ask you, but I'm going to change up that question a bit. I do want to ask you this, though. Players that, committed last year, or this was the year that they finally took that next step to play university, that came from the MFHL, that ended up having a solid season, a solid impact this year. Could you give us any names that you noticed stood out the most from what you were hearing?
Well, you know what? Hallie Edwards was one of the top goal getters in the league. She sort of came in 2 years ago, but really, this was her first full year to groom. She had a solid year, was one of the, Bison's top scorers. Gottfried, there's players all over the place, and it's really hard to actually follow them all. But I know that there was, I'm trying to think of, you look at the teams that were in the playoffs, we're talking about Alberta now. The number one ranked team in the country coming out of Calgary. There were some Westman Wildcats that played for out there, and they had solid seasons. There were some impact players that played for Victoria, for UBC. Names are Robertson was really impactful, a former Westman Wildcat out in UBC. They made a run. There's the players. I know Paige MacArthur had a pretty good season, moving over from NCAA over to Windsor, which was U Sport. So it'll be interesting to see next year what happens, because Ashton Bell is coming back to play her last year at Minnesota Duluth, who arguably is maybe the best player ever to come out of our league. And of course, she's coming back as a fifth-year redshirt. Yeah. And everybody said they made a run this year and lost in the NCAA Division I finals. Yeah. And everyone was going, oh, she missed such a great year. And I'm thinking, you know what? NCAA Division I gold medal at the Olympics.
Yeah.
I'll take the gold medal, right? So when it comes to players across the country, names are sort of eluding me as to who I think stands out. But I know that our league has been very successful in placing those players. And, York has several of our former players. They've gone all the way out to Dalhousie and St. Mary's on the East Coast, PEI, different schools all across the whole country. Yeah. Canada West has really had a real success rate with Manitoba girls. There was Steve Koch from Saskatchewan, University of Saskatchewan, was at the last showcase here, or not a showcase, it was the sports school event that St. Mary's runs. And he's had several Manitoba girls over the years. And I think he's looking at recruiting more in Manitoba, obviously, because he was here. Now, there were teams from outside of Manitoba, at that event. But, there was a large portion of Manitoba players there. So I think that the fact is we're sort of a little bit of an unknown commodity. As a matter of fact, that's what one of the Division I schools that called me, the assistant coach from one of the NCAA schools, said to me. He said, "You know what? We're noticing what kind of players you have in Manitoba, and we think that people are you guys are flying a little bit under the radar when it comes to our level." So
Right.
he was asking me about 5 or 6 players in the province. And it was actually an Ivy League school, not to let the cat out of the bag, but which is unbelievable. If you look at the academics for our players and the marks they carry, if you can get an Ivy League scholarship, it has nothing to do with athletics. It's an academic scholarship.
Yeah.
And if you can get an Ivy League education, wow, that's, you probably pretty well guaranteed a job if you come out of a Princeton, a Yale, a Brown. If you can come out of one of those schools, you're probably going to get a job somewhere. So and that was one of those schools. One of the 3 I just mentioned was ones that called me, and I'll leave that up to you to figure out. But
Yeah.
so if that's the case, those are opportunities that you can't put it. It's hard to put a value on that. So obviously, really good on our programs for getting those girls noticed at that level. That kind of school, those kind of schools are interested in our players.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And some impressive schools that you did mention there, Ferdi, that these players are getting opportunities to play at and get the eyes from these schools. So looking on them, I'll ask you one last question here. Of course, the league next year, it's going to be chock full of talent. There's going to be notable players returning, like a Danica Botterill, Hannah Rigg, talking about a player like Kaylin Weisner as well, a defenseman like Ali Staples. Those are just to name a few.
Kelly Rice.
Kylie Rice, of course, from the
You know,
defending champions coming into next season.
well,
Which few players are you most excited to see next year? Or are you just excited to see what the league is going to bring in terms of skill in general?
well, I said this. Our league was very young this year, so when you look at the talent level they were playing at, you give them one more year of maturity. We talked about how good Ray was and Rice was. They're young players, and they were impact players as rookies. So you give those, and Danica Botterill has a unbelievable skill set. The players you're mentioning are only going to get better. And of course, you always lose some quality graduating players. We see that by the names we went over earlier on the scholarships and the league awards. But the core group of young players coming into the league is extremely talented, in my opinion. There's going to be really good goaltending in the league. There were so many good young goalies. You're right, solid defense. Really excited about the forward group. There are some exciting forwards in that you mentioned 3 or 4 of them in Weisner and Rice and Ray and the forward group. It could be very exciting. You don't think records get broken very often, but it'll be interesting because we just had a record set for goals, and I'm not sure that record is safe in the next 2 years with some of the players that are in the league. I think the offensive skills are getting better and better, and the shots. These girls can handle the puck; they can shoot the puck. So Nora Collins set a bar a little higher, and we'll see if some of those forwards can chase that down, because 2 or 3 of those girls were, in the mid, Botterill was in the mid-20s already with goals, and Rice and some of these players have unlimited potential in my opinion. So I'm excited to see the whole league. I'm excited to see the competition level. When you look at a team like Westman returning so young, they're not going to get worse next year. The Avros don't lose many players. They lose key players, but there's also a good draft of U15s coming up. All these teams are well coached. The Ice, who made it to the final, only lose 3 or 4 players.
Yep.
So it's going to be a competitive season, and I think it's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, and I mean, mentioning the forward talent, of course, the defensive talent, and just mentioning two goaltenders in particular that will be back: Jenna Gertson and, of course, Grace Glover will be back, and a lot of other great goalies.
Oh, Holderson.
Alderson is back. Yeah,
in the Interlake is an outstanding goaltender. I mean, there's both Dembo and Moreau's had great years in Central Plains.
Yep.
And all those goalies we just talked about are back. Yeah. So those are some really quality goaltenders.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, Ferdi, it's been great getting to talk to you for about 2 years to this at this point here, talking about the MFHL on Coffee with Graeme. Thank you for being a part of the coverage when I've needed you coming on for interviews, and wish you all the best moving forward in your work, continuing with the MFHL and anything you do within Hockey Manitoba.
Well, I appreciate everything you did for us, and I wish you all the best with your future endeavors. I know we were talking today, and you were talking about going back to school. Good luck with that. And honestly, thank you so much for the coverage you guys give us, because it's outstanding on how you cover these young female athletes.
Of course, always our pleasure there, Ferdi. Until we talk to each other, or see each other sometime in the future.
Yeah, Oprah, paths cross. If you want to come out golfing in Portage, I'm always available.
Hey, maybe you can give me some pointers. I'm pretty awful at this.
No, that I don't do.
Oh, well, I might not be in luck, but maybe we set up a tee time. I'll catch you later, Ferdi.
Yeah, take care.
Take care. And Ferdi Nelissen coming on the show for one final time. Great to have him on the show here. And you know what? I got to turn off my TV. I keep peeking to the left because I have the Tampa and Toronto game on. I need Tampa to win, but Toronto coming back after being down 2-0. I do not like what I've been glancing at. So I'm going to turn that off for my own sanity, because coming up, I want to be on the top of my game for this interview with Eugene Kaminsky. Eugene will be doing something interesting next season. We'll get into that coming up after the commercial break. But yeah, Ferdi mentioned the great coaches in the league, Eugene being one of them. Excited to talk to him, the bench boss of the Winnipeg Ice AAA team in the MFHL, coming up for the final ever interview on Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Stick around to watch it, coming up after this commercial break, everybody.
Why go solar? Solar is better than ever. Our revolutionary design and inverter equipment with the latest in solar panel technology for the ultimate in-home and business security. That's right, I said security. Grid security and security of your home are linked. Fortify your future today with a battery backup system. No maintenance, quiet running. Did you know in Manitoba, grid-connected, off-grid, and battery backup systems are 100% right off in the year you purchase for any company or farm? Do you want to back up your internet, keep your tills running, and the lights on? We can install a system that is right for you with battery backup fully capable of taking on all those essential loads and keeping you running. When you call our experts at Evolve Green, ask about getting your free energy audit today. Call or email today to find out what system works best for you. 1-866-5EVOLVE or support@evolvegreen.ca. Also, be sure to check out our website at www.evolvegreen.ca.
Welcome back to Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Who joined me first on tonight's episode was Ferdi Nelissen, the guy that knows all in the MFHL, coming on for one final time. It was great to talk to him. If you want to, you can go back during this live broadcast if you want to on our new media player on our website, amateursports.tv. You can rewind our broadcasts when they're live, and if you want to check back and watch that interview with Ferdi, you can do so right now if you wanted to do that. But coming up right now in the final ever interview I'm doing here on Coffee with Graeme is going to be with Eugene Kaminsky. Eugene, first off, because I'm going to be out a lot of money, I don't want to hear any positivity from this side of things. Are you rooting for Toronto?
No, I'm not.
Thank you.
Are you a Toronto fan or no?
Oh no, I'm going for Tampa because I got Tampa winning the cup, and I've put a lot of bets on Tampa. So
are you like me and you have the game on the background as well?
I did. I had to turn it off. I
was watching you, and when Toronto made it 3-2, I could see you turn your head.
Yeah. I had to turn it off. No distractions because I need to just focus on this right now. So we'll get into it. How have things been since the last time we've talked? I mean, you went on the run to the finals with this team, coaching them there. I'm pretty sure this team has recently played hockey as well. There's some news about you taking a new job. I mean, what's been going on with Eugene Kaminsky?
Our social media team seemed to have a little bit of fun on April 1st, and unbeknownst to me that they had me hired and sent off to Italy to play and coach a team over in Division 2 over in Italy. So they had a lot of fun with that, and it's funny, I'm still fielding questions about that and people congratulating me on the opportunity. So that was a little bit of fun for sure.
Oh, so it was an April Fool's joke.
Yes, it was.
That's what it was. Wow. That is unfortunate for myself. That is hilarious. That is awesome. So you're staying as the head coach of the Winnipeg Ice AAA team. There we go, man.
I am, Graeme. Yes, I am.
It fooled me. That just shows I need to do a bit more research. I'm actually going to get you to rejoin the stream here, Eugene. There is a weird sound on your mic coming through, some cracking on my side of things. So I'll get you to rejoin the stream. We'll take a quick commercial break here and be back on this edition of Coffee with Graeme on ASTV.
Welcome to Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, your world-class academic and hockey training facility created to maximize each student's athletic and academic potential. Blackjack Stewart Arena, home of the Buffalo, is inside the 46,000 square foot complex, as well as a curling rink and other facilities. The students have a unique combination of successful, well-rounded education at Pilot-Mound Collegiate Institute and the professional hockey training in an encouraging community. The years of experience of on-ice coaching propel our students to the next level, both mentally and physically, in a professional environment.
Okay, we are back here on Coffee with Graeme on ASTV. Eugene, I'm going to get you to say a few words to see how the cracking is. If it's still there.
How's this, Graeme? Is it a little bit better, or is it
way better? This is way better. This is better. Okay, start off. So, if you folks missed it, I was fooled, and a lot of people were apparently, but I was fooled. Eugene is not the new head coach of SV Kaltern in Italian Hockey League Serie A. So, getting that out of the way, I got that wrong. No one else. I got that wrong. But
Well,
you know what? It happens. I guess. I guess that's a lesson.
I had family members believing that I was heading over to Italy, so it's not just you, Graham. It was really well done.
There we go. There we go. It looked official. Official fooled me. Let's get into the finals run, though. I mean, obviously not coming out with the result you guys wanted against Westman, but this is a team that went on a run where they rallied off their last 6 games that they played, winning all 6 of them. Talk about, this finals run, just this experience of not only getting to play in the finals, but actually getting to play in the finals since the last time when this team got a chance stripped away due to COVID-19.
No, I think that the key word that you used there, Graham, was experience, and it was a great experience. I think the opportunity to not only make it to the finals, but what we needed to do to get a chance to play in the finals. We had to go up against a very, very good team in the Winnipeg Avros, and we had a 5-game series. And so I think for a lot of those returning players, they learned a lot about themselves. They learned a lot about the team, and I learned a lot about those players. And then going into the next round, I think it was, even though we maybe didn't have that success, and even from game to game, there was a few close games, but we weren't able to get a victory in any of them. I think, again, there was experience that we learned from there. So in many regards, it's a positive thing. Westman's a very good team, so I'm very happy that we had an opportunity to make it to the finals, and I think they played very well, and they were ready for the games, and maybe we peaked out against the Avros and just weren't ready to take that next step right now.
Of course, looking back at the finals, it ended up being a sweep in favor of Westman as they ended up winning the championship. But like you said, there were some close games in there. The first game of the finals, a 3-2 win for Westman. Second game, they ended up winning 3-1. And in the final game, they ended up winning 5-2. It was tied heading into that period until they put up 4 goals to your guys' one to make it 5-2. But looking at this roster as presently constructed, going to be losing 4 players due to graduation, some key players at that, notably Maya Eamon. But there's still some really good players on this team. You'll have 2 goaltenders back that will be looking to grow in their second year with this program. How excited are you for the future with this experience that the team had of making it to the finals this year, even though they came up short heading into next season?
Yeah, it's going to be a different look for sure. I think when we went into this season back in September, we knew what type of team we were going to have. We were going to have a young team and an experienced team, and really the only player that had been around for a full season was Maya. We had players the previous season that were only there for 6 games, so we knew we had a lot of growth that we needed to do. We weren't too sure how this team was going to finish up, so there was a lot of unknowns and that we had to deal with. And then so now we're looking forward to next year. And like I told the girls in our last game, I said, you guys have set the bar for yourselves. We're no longer going to be underdogs. We're no longer going to be the teams that people feel that they can beat. We're going to be the team that is going to be favored to win a lot of games. Because, yeah, we're very similar to Westman. Like we're only losing 4 players. And granted, we're losing some 4 quality players. But we have a lot of good players that are going to step up, and theoretically, you got to believe that each player is going to be that much better coming into this next season. At least I hope they are. And if I can see any increase in ability from each player, and whether it's a 10 or 15% improvement, our team gets substantially better. And I think also looking forward to, the number of players that are coming up, I think we're going to have a good opportunity to pick some really gifted and nice hockey players for the following season.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And this team had a chance to play in some games back at the end of April on the 28th and the 29th, playing in, I believe it was the St. Mary's tournament that they host at the Iceplex. You played teams like the Calgary Fire, lost to them in a shootout, beat the let's take a look at it here. Beat the RHA Winnipeg team 5-2 on April 29th and ended up losing 4-0 to the RHA Kelowna team. But how nice was it to have this tournament to end things off, to have a final chance for the vets to play with this team like a Maim and the 3 others that are graduating, but also getting to see this team playing some solid hockey, even though they've had a lot of time off at the end of the year.
Yeah, it was sort of difficult. I'm not going to deny that. I know the players would agree to you that was very difficult after you come off an emotional victory against the Avros and you have an emotional series against Westman and you're hoping for the best, and all of a sudden you realize it just didn't work out. And then in 2 weeks we're going to turn around, or 3 weeks we're going to turn around and have a few more games. And we approached it in a sense that this was going to be an opportunity to just play some games. However the games are going to turn out, we're going to give opportunities for players to play, which we did. Just had a little bit of fun. Of course, we wanted to be competitive. Of course, we wanted to win if we could. But at the end of the day, we were going to do what we could just to have some fun. One last swing, if you will. And exactly as you said, for the likes of Maya Emans and Megan Carnegie and Brooklyn Balzovic and Callie Hilderman, to be able to say, hey, this is our last game. Let's just have some fun and then we'll move on. And it was an emotional finish for sure. I'm not going to deny that, because I think you always realized for everybody in the dressing room, this is the last time we were going to be together. So that was bittersweet for sure.
The years you've had coaching this Winnipeg Ice team since this program has returned, it's been nothing but success, no matter the group you've had, no matter if it's experience or just starting off like you did back in the 2018-19 season. And then looking at this year, having a younger team again. So you've done it with experience and with new players. Never finishing worse than being outside of the Final Four in the playoffs and the semifinals. Of course, finally getting to play in the finals this year, making it back to the finals for a second straight season, technically not counting last year when this team was looking really good off the start as well. Just talk about, I know we've talked about it so much in the past, but how proud you are of what this program has grown into, with the chance to continue building on it next year with a potential championship.
Yeah, I think myself and the coaching staff and all the players, and we've talked about this, all the players that have come before and the impact they've had on the team and the culture that they've created within the team organization has been really been able to transfer from year to year. And I think that's been one of the consistencies, being able to maintain that sort of positive atmosphere and getting players to recognize that this is their year, and no matter how many years you've been here or how many years you plan to be here, this is your year and we're going to focus on this year. And so I've been very proud of all the players that have come through the program, and I've had an opportunity to run into many past players in the Iceplex or in other areas and have good conversations with them. But it got me to realize that this is not just a one-off. You're not just coaching one team, you're coaching multiple teams. And I think be able to watch the growth of this program get stronger and stronger. And I know there's a lot of people that maybe doubted the validity of having a second program in Winnipeg from the get-go. And I know there's a little bit of pressure on that first-year team to show that they could play and that they could have a quality program. But then the emphasis was, we got to be able to maintain that, and a little bit of pressure on myself to make sure that you're having good teams. And I know at some point we're going to have some struggles, but we should always have relatively good talent. It's just now a matter of making sure that they play well together.
I'll ask you about, you spoke about how you're expecting this team to get better next year. I want to key in on two players in particular, Laura Melissa and Jordan Nepinak Sargent. Speaking more so about Laura, I mean, she was a huge reason why this team was able to defeat the Winnipeg Avros, a huge reason why this team ended up having success this season. And Jordan Nepinak Sargent ended up starting 24 games in total games compared to Laura's 29. So saw a lot of action from both goaltenders. How do you expect these two, with the successful years they had this season, both being over 900 save percentage, having a goals against average under that 3 mark, how do you expect them to take that next step coming into next year with the confidence from this year?
Yeah, you know what? Goaltenders are always the difficult one from year to year. And sometimes they can get off to a good start, and sometimes they can get off to a bad start. And there's going to be ups and downs along the way. Without a doubt, both goalies had a really good year this year, and Laura really seemed to take control of, the net in the last quarter of the season and into the playoffs. And so we took the opportunity to ride her as long as we could all the way in through that. And she had a fantastic playoffs with against the Avros. As a matter of fact, she was named playoff MVP by our team. And Jordan's another player that I know she's a quality goaltender, and we're excited about her, and we can see her when she had some good games against St. Mary's. And to her credit, she hadn't played for a while, and she stepped in, and it was like she hadn't missed a beat. So she was playing really well. And again, you got two players that are playing one position, and in any one game, you don't know what you're going to get. I know both are working really hard, so they're doing all the right things. They're going to be prepared. They're going to know the same things are going to happen coming forward and coming into next season, that they're both going to get an opportunity to play games, and they're both going to have the right to play that last game. And we're going to make a decision on who we feel is the best player at that time. So we're confident that we have two strong goalies. And if they keep working, I have no reason to believe why they're going to force us to make some really, really difficult decisions come playoff time. And that's what I want. I want to be able to make a difficult decision. And if that means we have to rotate goalies in the playoffs, then we will. And if it means we're just going to go with one, we will do that as well.
Of course, the expectation this year, you said, was to finish in that middle of the pack range, which this team did, finishing fourth. Being able to defeat a team like Pembina Valley in the first round by sweeping them and beating the Avros in a marathon of a series going down to the final game, down to the wire, where you guys took that final game. And of course, you guys getting swept against Westman in the finals. This team has a lot of talent coming in on paper, only losing 4 players. What is the expectation going to be to see this team potentially get a higher finish, maybe in a top 3 position, maybe even top 2, or are we looking at about the same expectation heading in?
You know what, it's really difficult. I know there could be expectations for sure. I know there's going to be a lot of good teams. Avros are going to be strong again. Westman's going to be strong, and every team's just going to get a little better. So without a doubt, if we weren't in the top 4, I'd be very disappointed. I'd call a lot of disappointment to the season. If we can find a way to make it into the top 2, then I would say that's a good year for us. But as you can see, in all intents and purposes, to be honest with you, I'm not too concerned where we finish after the regular season. It's where we finish after the playoffs. This is really going to be important to me, and that's going to be the measuring stick. Our team, and what we've done over the years, is we've coached the players all the way through the season. We don't coach them right away from the get-go from winning games all the time. We want to see that development. So we know when we get to the playoffs, they will have all the skills, and then we get into that last quarter of the season, we will start working on what type of specific systems and roles that everyone's going to be playing. And that seems to work for us, and I hope it continues.
Well, right on. And you know what? You're one of the best in the business in the MFHL there, Eugene. A proven track record. You gotta give you praise, because it has been impressive what you've been able to do. No matter how much skill, talent you guys have an advantage on in Winnipeg with the number of players to pick, still impressive to see you guys matching the Winnipeg Avros and even doing better than them by beating them this season with just the standard that they've set as a Winnipeg team. So definitely a team to keep an eye on next season in the MFHL that will be in the running for a spot in the championship series once again. Winnipeg Ice. Eugene Kaminsky, head coach of the Winnipeg Ice. Great to talk to you as my final guest ever on Coffee with Graeme. Eugene.
And Graeme, I want to thank you for everything you've done, for not just for our league, but for the players and myself and coaches around here, to provide a lot of exposure for these individuals and give them some sort of credit that they're doing something special. And thank you for what you've been doing in ASTV as well.
Of course, Eugene, I appreciate the kind words, and we do here at ASTV Productions. And you know what? Hopefully I can sleep easy tonight if Tampa's able to win. We'll have to see what happens after the game. Might have to check up on it. But
hoping here, Graeme. Hoping.
Fingers crossed, of course. But Eugene, you take care. We'll talk in the future for sure.
Thank you so much, Graeme.
And that was not the SV Kaltern head coach, newest head coach of the Italian Hockey League Serie A, Eugene Kaminsky. I feel like a fool that I got fooled by that on April Fool's Day. I could have sworn that the post said April 2nd, so I thought it was legit. It looked really legit. Got to give a round of applause to the Winnipeg Ice's social media team for fooling myself and a lot of other people. Like Eugene said, he even had family that was fooled about it. Him going to Italy, into the Italian Hockey League. So that tells you how good of a job that they actually did. But yeah, that's just a lesson that many lessons I've learned along the way that I got to keep that in the back of my mind with stuff being posted around that time. That could be fake. It could be a scam, But coming up next, do I check the Tampa Bay score during the commercial break? I'm not too sure, but I might have to. You might be seeing me happy with the reaction after the commercial break or kind of disappointed. But coming up next is going to be a league report. I know that I said I might be running through all the leagues that I've talked about in the Manitoba and Saskatchewan, but I'm just going to talk about the MJHL. We do have a championship winner that was crowned last night, so we'll get to that coming up after the break here on League Report on Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. And welcome back to Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions, everybody. Tampa Bay is on a power play. I hope that they score. I really do hope so. I need this for my playoff pool. I really do need this. A Winnipeg Jets fan, of course I am. But the team I picked to win the cup and the team I root for if the Jets aren't in or the players I have in my pool. And I got some Tampa guys, so I need them to get through this. But if they don't, hey, it was a heck of a run for them in the past 2 seasons, winning back-to-back, which only Pittsburgh has been able to do in the last little while. But welcome back to the show, everybody. It's time for the final ever edition of League Report. And let me tell you something. I don't have the video here that I can show you, but if you look on social media, just clips from this game as it was presented on Hockey TV. It's broadcast there and streamed there. But for the people in the stands, I mean, that was the championship for the highest junior hockey league here in Manitoba. And the crowd came out in full support, whether it was Pistons fans or Dauphin Kings fans from the looks of it. It was just insane to see the atmosphere. I'm sure the players had a blast playing in it. And in terms of who won the championship, as you can see here as it's coming up, I'm sure you already know if you're a fan of this league. But it was the Dauphin Kings Crown 2022 MJHL champions. And looking at the game, what happened in the game center here, it was Steinbach who actually dominated on shots on goal, except for the last period in the third, where Dauphin slightly outshot them just by 7-6. Steinbach failed to capitalize on 4 power plays. They went 0 for 4, while Dauphin failed to score on 2 of them. But Steinbach opened up the scoring in this game in the first period with a goal from Dawson Milliken, assisted by Bryce Kilborn and Davis Fry. But then it was 2 unassisted goals, one of them being shorthanded. Actually, the Steinbach goal being shorthanded as well, but 2 shorthanded goals in this game, and the biggest one coming as the tying one, with Logan Calder scoring his 7th of the postseason. And then in the third period at the 11:33 mark, it was Braden Dubé with his 3rd of the playoffs in the MJHL to eventually put his team over the top. And it was the Kings taking home this year's championship, of course, finishing, go back to the standings from the regular season. Of of course, Dauphin finishing as the kings of the play on words there. The kings of the West this year, finishing in first by a big margin, 83 points compared to Way Capo, the Wolverines, 69 points. Steinbach, the Pistons, were favored, I guess, technically in this series, as they had they had 87 points compared to the Dauphin Kings, 83, 4 more points than them, with a 42-9-2-1 record compared to Dolphins, 41-12-1. But they don't play playoffs in the regular season, and looking at the playoffs, Dauphin was just a bit better, finishing with a 12-6 record, 24 points compared to the 11-7 record with 22 points that Steinbach had. Looking at the goals for, Dauphin just a bit better throughout, 64 goals for, 44 goals against compared to Steinbach's 60 goals for and 50 goals against. Phenomenal series from these two teams coming down to the wire in the playoffs in Game 7 of the MJHL Finals. And now for the national championships in the juniors, Dauphin will have a chance to play for the Centennial Cup. We'll take a last look at league leaders here. And talking about the players that stepped up big in this playoffs, well, it was actually Steinbach's 3 players here, forwards, and Zach Power, Braden Burney, and Quinton Pepper all finishing top 3 in points. You can see here Zach Power with 27, Burney with 25, Pepper with 20. For Dauphin, their leading point getters were Caden Bryant, Colby Jaquette, as well as Parker Malchuk. 2 of those players being defensemen, and none of those players being over a point per game, but pretty darn close. And of course, in terms of just the goaltending and playoff MVP going to this goaltender right here, and rightfully so, Carson Cherepak for the Dauphin Kings, an 04-born player, was big time, made a huge save on an odd man rush on a breakaway in the final moments of the Game 7. And that's what did it really for Dauphin, I'm pretty sure. But just he made save after save, time after time, it seems like. The 12-4-2 record, 1 shutout, a .923 save percentage, a 2.32 goals against average. That was good enough to make him not only the best goalie in these playoffs, but also the goaltender that was the most valuable in the playoffs, not only to Dauphin, but throughout the whole MJHL. So congratulations on Carson Cherepak on posting those stats, winning the championship being a big reason why, and winning playoff MVP. And best of luck to the Dauphin Kings as they play for more now in the Centennial Cup coming up soon, I assume. We are going to take one last commercial break here on Coffee with Graeme. Coming up after the commercial break, it is time for some final words for one last time here on Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Well, folks, welcome back to Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Just got to say, first off, I'm feeling very good here. Tampa has tied the game on the power play, thank goodness. Got to say, though, I am nervous in my stomach. I hope they can win. I mean, congrats to the Leafs if they can make it through. It's just going to suck not being able to make first-round exit jokes anymore. But got to give them credit. They're one talented hockey team that could finally break through, and this would be a huge experience for this talented group of Matthews, Marner, Nylander, an older guy like Tavares who's getting up there in age, a young guy like Michael Bunting, Jack Campbell, of course, net, a guy like Morgan Riley, Giordano being a huge part of their success. It seems like it will be interesting to see, but hoping for Tampa, crossing my fingers under my table here. But Eugene Kaminsky joined me as the last interview on Coffee with Graeme. He was great to have on the show. Found out I got fooled by an April Fool's joke put up by the Winnipeg Ice social media account. Well done by them. Also had a chance to talk to Ferdi Nelissen, and also just got done talking about the MJHL League report. Dauphin winning the championship over Steinbach 2-1 in Game 7, going off to play for the Centennial Cup. Yeah, this will do it for Coffee with Graeme, for me being the host. I'm not sure what they're going to do for this show here moving forward, who's going to be the host, what the name is going to be. But for all you folks that have tuned in, for all the guests that have always joined me on the show, like Ferdi Nelissen tonight, as well as Eugene Kaminsky, to the Seth Rock, not the Seth Rock. Yes, the Seth Rock wasn't on the show tonight, but it was great to talk to him in the past 2 weeks before this one, and just talking to him throughout the hockey season on Seth's Inside Scoop, talking with Cody Wall on Off the Wall with Cody, talking to Braden Keeble of the Brandon Weekings U18 AAA team, to talking with Eddie Steele, a former CFL football player that played his university football here in Manitoba, to talking with Ashton Bell, an Olympic gold medalist, to Ashley Van Eglen, Courtney Bays, who else on the show? Everyone from the Pembina Valley Hawks on the Hawks Report. Getting a chance to talk to some of the best university coaches out there. Can't tell you who they are off the top of my head because I don't want to screw up their names because of the respect I have for them. To just, to the people from my school over at the school I graduated from in College Belleville. To guys like JD Hodden, who came on the show, that used to work for ASTV Productions, and just talking to everyone that I've had a chance to talk to. There's so many athletes, players, coaches, not even just coaches, it's scouts that I've talked to, so many different people from the amateur sports scene that I'm blessed, and to have a chance to talk to them and anyone I've talked to has been truly special. Thank you to you, the viewer, who tuned in every Tuesday morning, every Thursday night here, and anytime that you've been able to watch Coffee with Graeme. Your support means so much. A special thanks to the sponsors, of course, of Coffee with Graeme and Caisse Financial Group, AETi, Evolve Green, TOVI Hockey, and Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy. Yeah, just everyone that made it possible for me to grow as a creator and grow as a TV host, grow as a producer, an editor, just everything. It's been a blast, everybody. And I just want to tell you guys that I can't find the right words to describe how much this experience has meant for not only me gaining confidence in myself as a person, because I had major anxiety growing up. This has helped with this, but also just getting me started doing this on Coffee with Graeme, whether that be here, the Prospect Show, or on Rise and Shine Manitoba, a show that I started hosting as I got more work in with ASTV along the way. Just being able to allow me to have a chance by tuning into the show, for our sponsors for sponsoring it, and for the people for joining it, allowing me to grow as a creator in terms of growing as a interviewer has helped me tremendously along the way. And hey, yes, I did screw up. I was never perfect. I wish I was, but I never was. And my one message to you guys, I'll say too, before I end off: you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, quoting the great Wayne Gretzky. So if you have a shot to do something in your life, whether that be an opportunity to play for a hockey team or go to a university, maybe it's not the most exciting thing, maybe it's an exciting thing that you want to do with your life, but it might seem risky. If you're feeling it and you feel like you might not get the opportunity, hey, might as well take the shot, even if you do fail, because you do miss 100% of the shots you do not take. And also another one, I'm not sure if this is a quote, but I'll say it right now: never give up, keep your head high, and keep pushing forward. There's going to be times where maybe you don't have the best day and maybe everything goes wrong. You got to remember, it's only one day. If you can't decide what you're going to do with your life at the age of 20 years old, or even 23, maybe you're even 25, don't worry, you're still young and still got a lot of life ahead of you. I'm blessed that I had the opportunity to do this on ASTV and find my footing in this industry. I'm proud of what I've been able to do, but I'm proud to have found what I've wanted to do potentially for my life coming up and my career moving forward here. But for those of you that don't know, just know that the right opportunity will find you. And if you keep working hard, if you keep your head up and stay positive and push forward, put in the effort every day, and take the shots, take those opportunities, even if they are risky, because you only do get one life. You want to make the most of it. So that is it for me, folks, here for Coffee with Graeme. I've been your host of Coffee with Graeme, Graeme Forsyth, saying goodbye and so long for one last time, and giving you the salute and the peace out, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your Thursday tonight. Have a wonderful Friday tomorrow, and a wonderful and safe weekend. Stay safe out there, of course, like I said. Enjoy the nice weather if you can where you are. And as I've always said here for one final time, once again, I've been your host of Coffee with Graeme, Graeme Forsyth. One last time, giving you the salute and the peace out here. So long, everybody. Take care. Thank you.